Hello, this is John Naguib, Solution Architect and Senior Consultant and proud member in the European SharePoint community. So today I'm going to speak briefly about some important SharePoint tools that can help you in troubleshooting your environment. So the first tool actually is the developer dashboard, which is available out of the box inside SharePoint. This tool started to be available since SharePoint 2010. It was improved in SharePoint 2013 to provide more information and give you details while tracing the code. And actually, it's now you can open it outside of the page. So this to avoid affecting rendering of the actual page. So now it can run in separate window, provide you detailed information per page and tabs for your ls log entries. You can enable it actually through this PowerShell command that I'm putting in here, that you retrieve the content service and set the developer dashboard settings to on and update. So you can turn it off when you are done troubleshooting by changing this parameter and running this script again. The second tool is the SQL Profiler. It's part of the Microsoft SQL Server Studio, and it's a graphical user interface and that traces the monitoring of running instance of database engine or analysis service. So when you open the SQL Server Profiler in your SQL Server server, and you get the wizard where you can specify the database engine that you're going to trace and the instance, etc. And you start running the use case inside SharePoint. So for example, you are going to open or update certain specific list. The trace log is going to provide you with all the steps that has been happening in the background in your database. And actually it's useful information whenever you are going to reach to Microsoft for a support. They may ask you to generate this SQL profiler trace. So it's important and very nice tool. This is the second tool. Let me jump to another available tool, which is the Health Analyzer. So this is part of the monitoring inside the central admin in SharePoint. So it provides you some insight about the enhancements and problems that exist and the solutions proposed. So in here, for example, when I run this report inside my personal development environment, I got this report stating that there's some security issues, there's some configuration issues. Some of this actually may not be relevant to you, but at a certain point, it's very important to have a look into that to see if you are missing something within your configurations. So the next tool is called Fiddler. This available for free. It's from Telrec. This trace actually the HTTP requests and response. So so whenever you have access, going to access a certain specific SharePoint page or even any uh, page, it's going to give you a trace of the HTTP requests that's happening in the background. So by this way, you can actually track the issues in JavaScripts or issues in uh, that may happen. For example, if you are having 403 error, so you know where this is coming from exactly. And actually, I give you a very good tip that from IIS, I have set a response header to specify to me the server that I'm sending the request to. So actually, this appears whenever I'm in the header sections in the Fiddler tool. So you see there is a tab called headers. So the header is going to return from the IIS server that's you're going to hit with this specific page or this URL. So you know which server actually is causing the issue. So Fiddler, I advise you to try it. It's very important to keep it in your development environment, in even in your local machine to access any site and trace it and debug it. The next tool is called SharePoint Engineering Troubleshoot Helper, or they call it SETH. This is the acronym for the tool. It's actually a diagnostic tool provided by Microsoft. So whenever you raise a Premier case with Microsoft, they mostly will ask you to generate logs from the SETH tool. So you can download it from these links and you start running it on a SharePoint server, on any SharePoint server in your farm, and it's going to provide you troubleshooting reports with the issues found and how to resolve them. So tell you in here there's a loopback. For example, this is one of the reports that I have run in my environment. It will provide you the issues found. So for example, the loopback check that's disabled, alternate access mapping URL having issues, error inside the health analyzer, there is minimum requirements for hard disk, etc. And they are going to give you all the issues that are detected and the way to resolve them. The next tool is the SPS Farm report. So this one is available for free from Codeplex. Actually, this tool provides you sort of farm documentation, which is very important to document your farm, to know how many servers you're having, which services are running inside it. So whenever an issue happens or a configuration is done by mistake, you know how to restore them because you're having a baseline documentation. So SPS Farm Report is a very important tool to have. The next one is the Visual Studio, especially the Premium Edition. So within the Premium Edition, you're having a performance test template. So you can run this to do tracing of performance. So whenever you're having a new environment and your customer would like to have benchmark results of how the environment is behaving, you can use this Visual Studio template, performance template, to generate the request time and response, etc., to know how your environment is performing and if there is any way to enhance this performance results. So I come to the end of the session. Thank you very much.